So if you've seen my previous video on my filing jig that I built out of wood and a long metal pole for being able to shape up knife blades, I am still using that, but I figured I needed something that allowed me a little bit more flexibility when it came to the belt grinder. So I had a talk with Edmund at Rapid Tools and Consumables. The website is uktools.tools, I'll link it down below. And we decided that the best thing for it might be a adjustable knife grinding jig. So bought one of them, he sent it over, it was fantastic service, arrived very, very quickly. And this is my first time using it. Now, this is on a little Tonto type blade that was going to be for a outdoorsy, bushcrafty type knife. I haven't quite decided exactly what it was. I've designed this on knife print and printed out design, cut it to shape. Not entirely sure what this knife is going to be for, but I just like the design. I wanted to be able to get a really nice flat grind on the cheek of the blade, the full length of the knife itself. So this is my first time using the knife grinding jig, and please, if you have any hints or tips or comments, please put them down below. One of the things that I did was make sure that I used the knife grinding jig to actually give myself locations for 2 attachment points so I could make sure it was really stable and make sure that I could keep the blade absolutely level and horizontal to the plane of the belt grinder. I'm not going to talk through the entire video and the process. I'll just let the work speak for itself. But please, like I say, if you've got any hints or tips, please let me know, because I'd really appreciate a bit of feedback on what I'm doing with this. So one thing I was very aware of while I was grinding the knife was that it was very difficult to get a completely flat line along the length of the blade. There were always these very slight curves. Now, I don't know whether that's because the blade itself had a slight warp to it. I also don't know whether potentially this was just my own ability. The knife I did after this was a curved blade, and I actually found that far easier to keep within the guidelines I'd made for myself. And I don't know whether that's because a natural curve to the blade means that any curve and variation just shows up less. The other thing that I decided was not such a good idea was when I was trying to create the cheek on the tip, on that Tanto tip. I tried tilting the whole thing up so that I could actually rest that using the knife jig, and it just ended up being a slightly sketchy situation. It felt like it was overreached from where it was. Now, it may be that's absolutely fine. I just didn't like that. So I ended up grinding in the bevel at the end of the blade by hand rather than using the jig. I decided to hand file in some jimping onto the back of the blade. Now, I don't think I did an absolutely perfect job of this. I just think my initial layout, some of my lines were slightly further apart, some were slightly too close together. In the end, it looks okay, but it's not absolutely perfect. There are better ways to do this, and I think also potentially if you just take a little bit more time to get the spacing absolutely perfect in the first place, it will look better. Another first for this knife, as well as being the first one on the adjustable knife grinder, was also to try my Maker's Mark stamp for the first time. I carved it myself using a piece of 01 tool steel, 20mm round, and used a Dremel type handpiece to carve my shape into the end of it, and then imprinted it onto the knife. Again, it didn't work absolutely perfectly because I didn't do it on a wide enough, flat enough surface. I'm really pleased with how the mark has come out, and it gives me a learning experience. And this is what all of this is about. It's about trying things, learning them, working out what works and what doesn't. The other thing I'm aware of, I need a longer forge. This is the longest blade length that I've actually made, and it just about fit in the forge to be able to get everything to quenching temperature, but it was at the very limit. So I think I may need to make myself a very slightly longer forge. There you can see that tool mark. It's just not perfect. I know it's mine. This knife is going to be for me, and I'm happy with it. I just need to develop that technique a little bit further. So there we have it. That's the knife all finished, ground up, heat treated and ready for a handle. I'm excited to see what it'll look like once I put a handle on it and can finish everything completely. Thank you very much for watching. As I said, if you've got any hints or tips, please let me know in the comments below. If you'd like any further information on the grinders or the small wheels packages or the knife jig, please have a look at Rapid Tools and Consumables, link is down below. There is going to be a bit of a pause on the knife making videos for a little while. We're about to move house, and so I'm going to build myself a new workshop at the new house, so there will be content on that. There will be content on knife making once it's all sorted, so please feel free to subscribe to keep up to date with that. Otherwise, thank you very much. Bye bye.